Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
The U.S. Supreme Court is setting new precedent for the age of social media, and a local school district is at the center of it. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. A unanimous Supreme Court decision says officials can be sued for blocking their critics on social media. The case involves a lawsuit filed against two Poway elected officials. KPBS North County reporter Alexander Nguyen has more on what this means.
In 2017, two parents in the Poway Unified School District sued after they were blocked from commenting on two school board members' social media pages. The parent says the blocking violated their First Amendment rights. In this case, the court ruled that the public officials who use their personal social media pages to make official statements may not delete comments or block critics. But the court also said officials are also private citizens off the clock and have their own constitutional rights. What the court did is establish a national standard for when an elected official's personal social media pages become public or official pages. David Lloyd with the First Amendment Coalition says officials should have a separate personal and public social media accounts.
The court also said that the more that the official mixes private and personal with public and official, the more risk the official takes. And so a best practice would be to clearly distinguish this is personal, this is official.
Lloyd says while this case sets a clear standard for what constitutes a public social media account, it also makes it harder for the public to sue public officials over the issue because people might not fully understand the nuance between the two. Maya?
Well, Alex, what does this mean for the Poway case? A lower court had sided with the parents. Does that mean that the ruling stands?
Well, the 9th District Court of Appeals upheld a district court's ruling siding with the parents. The Supreme Court's ruling, with the Supreme Court ruling, the case now goes back to the 9th Circuit for the justices there to reevaluate the case based on the new standards. In the newsroom, Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
A last-minute bid by Trump advisor and former San Diego mayoral candidate Peter Navarro to avoid reporting to prison has been rejected. This after an order by Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts today. Navarro is expected to check into federal prison in Miami by tomorrow afternoon. He was sentenced to 4 months behind bars for contempt of Congress back in September.
We've had some off and on showers in the interior especially. Tonight will be a little quieter. Still somewhat cool. A lot of 30s and 40s. 30s into the high elevations like Mount Laguna. 40s for most of the interior populated places. And we're still in the low 50s into areas near, say, San Diego itself. But as we move ahead to tomorrow, there may be a few lingering sprinkles or showers into the interior. But most of us, at least in the city and along the coastline, will be dry. We're going to take a look ahead at the rest of the week in just a bit.
After 34 years of service, San Diego Fire Chief Colin Stowell announced his plan to retire this August. The city is now launching a nationwide search for his replacement. San Diegans can give input about the qualities of an ideal fire chief at public forums. The first will be on April 3rd at the Martin Luther King Jr. Recreation Center. The second will be held the next day at the Kearney Mesa Recreation Center. Both start at 5:30 p.m. An online survey is also available. San Diego Gas and Electric is raising rates in March, just a month after the utility reported record profits. KPBS environment reporter Eric Anderson says the rate hike eliminates some savings from January.
SDGE delivery charges are going up nearly 9% this month. That's about $8 a month for the average customer. The change comes 2 months after the utility cut delivery charges by 11%.
Customers are still benefiting in March 2024 about a 6% savings than what they were spending in March of 2023.
The move comes after the investor-owned utility posted record profits last year. The company made $936 million in 2023, an increase of $21 million over the previous year.
A lot of people are questioning, why is it that SDGE needs more money. Their shareholders seem to be doing just fine. It's the customers that are hurting. It's the customers that are feeling the pain, but it's the shareholders who are reaping the gain.
Tony says this rate hike is separate from the huge rate case before state regulators. The utility is asking regulators to let them raise more than $3.6 billion in new revenue over a 4-year period. Critics say this rate hike for wildfire safety shouldn't be happening.
We can't simply have unlimited amount of money spent on wildfire safety. We want the most cost-effective measures to be spent on wildfire safety because these bills are going sky high.
Filings with the California Public Utilities Commission indicate SDG&E had more than 361,000 customers, more than 30 days past due on their bills.
Affordability is top of mind to San Diego Gas and Electric, especially managing those bills of some of San Diego's most vulnerable customers.
The number of people behind on their bills is down slightly, and so is the amount of uncollected money. But delinquency numbers remain well above levels in 2019, the year before the pandemic. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
A new survey of thousands of military families finds quality of life issues again among top concerns, and fewer say they'd recommend military service. KPBS military reporter Andrew Dyer has this.
Pay, housing, spousal employment, and time away from home were the top concerns both for service members and their households. The Military Family Lifestyle Survey is conducted yearly by Blue Star Families, a military service organization. The results of its 2023 survey were just released. Maggie Meza is the San Diego chapter director of Blue Star Families. She says with San Diego's high housing costs, it makes sense the issue is near the top of the list.
We have about 70% of our military that live off of our military bases. There is a shortage of housing here. So I think that plays a factor into some of the concerns.
She says these concerns often start with a lack of job opportunities for military spouses.
And if the service member is only here for a short while, most military spouses can't get employed, and employers won't take a chance on them. And then that leads to childcare issues.
More than 7,400 people from military families responded to the 2023 survey. Results suggest these quality of life issues could have an impact on recruiting. More than half of active duty respondents said they'd recommend military service back in 2016. This year, just 32% said they'd recommend people join. Pennsylvania Democratic Representative Chrissy Houlihan works on quality of life issues on the House Armed Services Committee and has advocated for a so-called GI Bill for child care. The proposal would grant up to $15,000 for child care while spouses look for work. Meza says as a young military spouse, she found after relocating it was difficult to connect to all the resources available to military families, a gap Blue Star Families looks to fill.
To have that boots on the ground person, to have familiarity, to know that they have someone there that has their back.
Blue Star Families 2024 survey kicks off at the end of the month, and they're looking for more veteran and military families to participate. More information is available on their website, bluestarfam.org. Andrew Dyer, KPBS News.
United Airlines CEO is unveiling a new plan aimed at bolstering customers' confidence when flying. As Laura Aguirre reports, it follows at least 6 mid-flight incidents just this month.
It's been a challenging month for United Airlines, with multiple flight mishaps making headlines, compounded by the fact that United is Boeing's biggest customer in the U.S., and Boeing is under federal investigation following a string of quality control lapses and in-flight incidents in recent months. Now, United CEO Scott Kirby is stressing the importance of safety to customers in a message Monday. United's most recent event happened last Friday in Medford, Oregon. One of their Boeing 737-800s landed and was found to have a missing panel under a wing, forcing the tower to halt all air traffic while crews searched for it on the ground.
We didn't find any debris or any panels or anything. Operations continue normally.
Among other recent incidences, the engine of a United Boeing 737-900 caught fire after takeoff from Houston. Then, same city, different jet, a United Boeing 737 MAX slid off a runway. And internationally, a United Boeing 777 left Sydney leaking hydraulic fluid. In all cases, the planes landed safely. Kirby assured customers that the unrelated events did get the airline's attention, and United has sharpened its focus. It will now expand training programs for pilots and mechanics, along with dedicating more resources to manage its supplier network. All moves designed to make flyers feel more comfortable about boarding United jets as the busy summer travel season nears. I'm Laura Aguirre for KPBS News.
A group of doctors is fighting to stop another maternity ward from closing in San Diego County. They sent a letter to the California Department of Public Health calling for an investigation into the impact of closing the ward at Scripps Mercy Hospital in Chula Vista. The letter raises concerns about the effect it could have on low-income women and infants of color. Scripps Health announced plans to close the maternity ward as early as this summer. An OBGYN who spoke with our media partner KGTV acknowledged the efforts might not stop the closure, but said it's a good start to try to change what's happening across the state.
If we're unable to stop it from happening, at least we bring some transparency to the process. Maybe we'll be able to help push legislation forward so that it's not as easy to close the units in the future. Maybe the nurses will try to find a way to advocate for themselves in a more powerful way.
A spokesperson for Scripps says the hospital in Chula Vista provides about 14% of deliveries for mothers who live in the South County, and about 60% of women go outside of the South Bay to deliver. The spokesperson says the hospital needs the room to expand emergency and surgical services. The first oral contraceptive approved for over-the-counter use in the U.S. is now available to buy online. As Michael Yoshida reports, healthcare experts say this marks a major milestone in access to birth control in the country.
For the first time in U.S. history, online orders have begun for over-the-counter birth control pills. There are no age restrictions and no prescription necessary.
I think is a win for everybody. It allows improved access to contraceptive care to women. It is also, I think, financially very doable.
Perrigo, the company behind the pill, says one-month packs will be sold with a suggested price of $19.99. Approved by the FDA last year, the company says O-Pill is 98% effective at preventing pregnancy when taken as directed at the same time every day. OBGYN Dr. Sujatha Reddy says most hormonal birth control pills contain both progestin and estrogen, which for some can carry risk of blood clots, heart attacks, affect migraine headaches, and shouldn't be used by smokers over 35. But O-Pill uses only progestin to prevent pregnancy.
There are some people who should not take the estrogen combination pills, but for them, O-Pill is probably safe.
She says the list of people who shouldn't take progestin-only pills for medical reasons is very short, including those with certain conditions like breast cancer or liver disease, or if they're taking certain medications.
In general, birth control is very safe, and I think we're seeing improved access because it's been around for so long, and we know it's very safe.
Following the online launch, O-Pill is expected to hit shelves later this month at major retailers and pharmacies, including Walgreens and CVS. I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
There's a push to shorten the standard U.S. work week to 32 hours. A bill was recently proposed in the Senate. The U.K. even tested the idea and found it to be highly successful. But some critics worry a 4-day work week could hurt businesses. Jen Sullivan looks at the pros and the cons.
How does a 4-day work week sound? Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders wants to make that a reality, proposing a bill that would cut the work week down to 32 hours without reduced pay.
The sad reality is Americans now work more hours than the people of any other wealthy nation.
In many European countries, employees have shorter work weeks. France has a federally mandated 35-hour work week. Denmark has a 37-hour work week. Belgium has adopted a 4-day work week. And the UK recently tested the idea. 61 companies did a trial run of the 4-day work week between June and December of 2022. The director of the 4-day week campaign talked about the results last fall.
It was overwhelmingly successful.
Nearly 90% of the businesses that participated in the pilot were still operating with the 4-day work week 1 year later. 31 of those companies have made the change permanent.
When workers have that 4-day week, 32 hours, no loss of pay, they come back into the workplace working much more effectively, efficiently, they're better rested, also more creative.
The program also found revenue remained the same during the trial, and in some cases even ticked up slightly. Critics, though, worry it could hurt employers and employees in the future.
They would ship those jobs overseas, or they would automate to replace those workers for whom they have an increased expense, or they would dramatically increase prices to make this stay afloat.
Some unions support the bill, but it's unlikely to pass in the Senate. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Luxury picnics at local beaches and parks gained popularity during the pandemic, but now the city is cracking down. The city of San Diego says these businesses are not allowed under city code, but the city is softening the blow a bit, allowing businesses to apply for newly created permits for city parks. Well, some owners say the permit process isn't great.
They're only allowing one permit per day per location, and considering that there's hundreds of picnic businesses, that's just not realistic for us. This does support my family. This does pay my mortgage, my car payment, puts food on the table for my 2 children.
Businesses can apply for luxury picnic permits at 12 locations in Balboa Park, Mission Bay Park, and Shoreline Parks. Private picnics are not allowed on the sand at city beaches. The stage is set for the men's March Madness tournament, and the SDSU Aztecs will be there. The first game is Friday night in Spokane. KPBS Penner fellow Lainey Alfaro and video journalist Matt Bowler visited campus to hear from fans.
Will you be skipping classes on Friday?
100%. I don't even have classes Friday, just for these moments, so.
Love it.
Spokane, Washington, where we find the 5-seed.
Seeing our name come up never gets old, and it was almost like deja vu from a year ago.
So last year, Cinderella story. May have knocked on our way in the finals, but this year I feel like we're going to make a good run at it. Hopefully Sweet 16, maybe past, we'll see.
And the other thing I noticed about the bracket is 3 of the teams from last year's Final Four are all in there. UConn, Florida Atlantic, and San Diego State, all in the same bracket. So it's a little ironic, but it's fun to look at.
It's March Madness, anything happens, so we got to go out there and just play hard, control what we can control, and try to win the game.
For me, I think they can do well. It's just turning it on at the right time, playing well, playing defense. I think they've got a good team. I think they've got another shot.
Just from last year, they have a lot of great pieces, and they're going to be really good this year, like they already have been the last couple years.
My family is following. My family's very excited. We're really excited about it, yeah. Yeah, same here.
And they get another one here. Trammell, who hit the shot yesterday, hits another. It's the D with the finish. There are no upsets in the tournament. The hot hand wins in this thing.
Well, our weather has been somewhat active in the interior with some scattered showers over the higher ground in the mountains and the higher elevations and various parts of the deserts off to the east as well. Leftover showers may still linger on Tuesday, but they will be fading away as we move on through the middle of the week. And after we move through Wednesday, it will be a bit of a drier time. The only real eventful and potentially disruptive weather will be some patchy morning fog. Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, we'll see a little bit more of that as well. Tonight, though, we're mainly clear, 52 for your low. And tomorrow, still some scattered showers in areas around Mount Laguna. Most of us are going to be dry, but a few of you to the east will encounter a couple of downpours. Highs around 45 there, but down into Borrego Springs, 79, nice and warm. And will be around 70 into Oceanside, upper 60s in areas right along the coastline. You can see these little showers that'll break out there Tuesday, not widespread, mainly over the higher elevations of interior San Diego County and portions of Orange County as well to our north. But overall, that'll be about it. And then the fog and the morning low clouds will be an issue. Moving forward, though, I wanted to take the conversation a little farther into the weekend because we'll press pause on Friday. You can see this storm gets a little closer to the coast, and we'll press pause there around Friday evening as rain begins to return to the northern parts of California. But through Saturday, this really does divert to our north, and it probably will not be much of a player for our local forecast. So for the coastal areas, we do expect to be dry here for Thursday and Friday. We may have some showers roll in as far south as the city on Saturday. But again, the most widespread rain will be to the north. So we just need to keep an eye out for the potential for the southern part of that storm to clip us on Saturday. most of the impacts, the more significant impacts, should stay to our north. Inland areas, here you can see temps backing down into the low 70s Friday. Dry for the rest of the work week, and then potential for some showers of rain or drizzle. But again, I'm kind of hedging my words because confidence is greater to our north. And in the mountains here, we have that stray shower or even a thunderstorm on Tuesday afternoon. Then we're drier here. Chilly Thursday, dry and bright for Friday, and windy and colder for Saturday into the mountainous areas. So a little bit of a wind as that storm system passes to our north. And for the deserts here, you can see a fairly decent time. A chance for rain is much more limited on the desert valley floor on Tuesday, and we expect to be dry Thursday, Friday, and probably Saturday as well, but cooler as that storm passes primarily to our north. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jeff Cornish for KPBS News.
There is a special San Diego Symphony concert coming to the Rady Shell next month. It will include 2 performances by professional musicians with some help from hundreds of elementary school students. And KPBS education reporter MG Perez has more on the interactive music program, providing lessons in sound and silence.
This is music to the ears of students at Sandberg Elementary in Mira Mesa. For the past several weeks, 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders have been learning music vocabulary and getting an education in how orchestras and instruments work together. The bassoon complements the flute. This collaboration is created by musicians from the San Diego Symphony's Woodwind Quintet. Max Offercook is the clarinetist who admits he stumbled into playing this particular instrument.
I thought it looked cool, and I was able to get a sound out of it right away, which is not the case for most of the other instruments.
215 students from Sandberg Elementary enjoyed the quintet's concert at their school. It's a bonus to the curriculum they've been learning with sound and silence. The symphony's Stephen Saltz.
Sound and silence are these 2 characters who meet in their universe just by chance, and they clash a little bit at first. Sound is really energetic. He can sing high pitches, he can play low pitches, he can play music with a really fast tempo or a really slow tempo, and Silence's character is kind of shocked by all this new knowledge.
Together, the cartoonish sound and silence join professional musicians to teach students about music concepts like pitch, melody, and tempo.
I learned that the tempo can be like fast, like really fast.
9-year-old Dexter Dang is a 4th grade student who's already played some piano, but it's the cello he's working with now. The sound and silence lessons have inspired him to keep on learning.
Try out other instruments and then maybe go back to the cello or stay with whatever I like.
And maybe be a musician? What do you want to be when you grow up, Dexter?
I don't know yet, actually.
His classmate, Aziza Denaveris, is more certain about her future in music. She's tried the flute, but her creative heart is elsewhere.
My big passion is guitar, and I really love it, so I want to be a guitarist or an artist when I grow up.
There is 9 weeks of curriculum, culminating with a special concert at the Rady Shell on April 19th, where students will join the San Diego Symphony using their new knowledge and their bodies as percussion instruments. Stephen Saltz says it's the ultimate in interactive learning.
That's this whole pattern that they've learned of claps, snaps, and a drum roll on the lap. And it occurs in a very rhythmic piece that the symphony will be opening the concert with.
Sound and silence working with professionals to make sure students can hear the music and the message. Riza Eusebio is one of the Sandberg teachers.
Well, it's important for them to know in the creative arts that it's a profession, and it's definitely something to consider.
Max Offercook will continue to share his talent and experience.
It's these little opportunities like this that might not seem like they mean much, but they do plant a seed in the kids' heads.
And Stephen Saltz with the grand finish.
If they already play an instrument at their school, or if their school even has a music program at all, or if this is just something that's brand new to them, for instance, they've maybe never heard even a recording of a symphony orchestra before.
They have now. MG Perez, KPBS News.
And here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. More people than ever cannot afford rent, but federal housing vouchers are hard to get and they're hard to use. On NPR's Morning Edition, the city where officials are testing a different option, giving renters cash. And KPBS Midday Edition is taking a look back at Black history here in San Diego in a discussion with SDSU's Black Resource Center. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.